Hi everybody, I'm Susan Hill, animal communicator, and I help people with animals learn how to have a better relationship through animal communication, or it's called telepathy. Now, many people don't understand what telepathy is, and I'll just explain it really quickly. Telepathy is the ability to use your entire body as a sending and receiving station or transmitter and receiver to pick up energies that are from other people, other animals, and even plants. They also have an intelligence and have feelings, and this has been documented in scientific research. So all of life is teeming with energy and transmissions of thoughts and feelings and perceptions that when we can tap into telepathy, we can actually begin to communicate with all of life. It's an exciting and amazing discovery. Now, my story is when I became, always as a child, I was always fascinated with animals. I love them. I live in a very rural community in Connecticut. And my father was a gardener and hunter, and this was nurtured in my family, the fact that wildlife was something that was revered and enjoyed. There was a point in my life, I had my first dog, all of myself, and his name was Allie, and he was a black lab Doberman mix. And Allie was on the unhealthy side ever since I first got him from the New Rochelle, New York shelter. Allie, at age 6, came down with a very serious disease called bone cancer, very painful and not something easy to repair. So I actually traveled to Tijuana, Mexico at the biomedical clinic to receive medication for him. And the medication, I believe, helped, but I didn't have the entire picture. It was a difficult thing for me, and I, at that time, wasn't really communicating as I am now with animals. And then his illness kind of progressed, and it was time for him to transition. So through his transition, his spirit came to me, and it was a mystical experience that I had. I had never had experienced anything like this before, and I could see his spirit, and I could hear him. And what he said to me was astounding. This really opened my eyes to the wisdom of animals and the afterlife too. What an amazing thing to discover, that we're not just simply in a body and that's it, but simply a parenthesis in eternity, as Joel S. Goldsmith says, that this life is only one little glimpse of what our life really is. It extends beyond this lifetime. Allie said to me in his spirit form, "I had to leave you. It was my time. I tried to teach you while you were alive that love was everywhere, but you couldn't hear it. So I had to leave you so that you could experience this." I didn't understand what that meant. I was so full of grief. There was no consoling me. It took me time to digest it. So I ended up taking classes with world-renowned grandmother of animal communication, Penelope Smith. She came to Kripalu Yoga and Retreat Center in Lenox, Massachusetts, where I took the beginner and advanced courses in around 2001 to 2005, somewhere around that time frame. I was opened up. I could hear the wildlife, the trees, the earth, everything, and it was an extraordinary opening, a realization that all of life is singing and celebrating. But us humans have trouble with this. So I began my career as a professional animal communicator, and I am delighted to help people understand their animal friends better. And I would say the number one thing that people do to interfere with their relationship and also their own ability to communicate with animals is to heap on their own perceptions, to use their own human psychology, assuming that the animal thinks and behaves the same way, which is a lie. Animals have their own unique psychology. Animals are basically ruled by instinct. They don't conceptualize like we do. They're not going to discuss philosophy or scientific theory. They cannot reflect on their own consciousness like we can. Their communications are simpler. They generally say what they have to say, and that's it. They don't ramble on about ideas and concepts and notions. I'm sure you can hear my animals speaking in the background, and it's virtually impossible for me not to have them talk while I'm videotaping. I've had many animals that I've communicated professionally, hundreds, and I've helped many people to have better relationships. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. There was a lady that I did not know that came to me, and she was telling me about an animal that she had had many years ago that died mysteriously. So when I communicated with the spirit of the animal, which came through very well because her connection was still ongoing with this animal, it was a startling discovery about the death of the animal, which I'm not going to breach confidentiality here, the details of the findings. But it was the animal desperately wanted her to know the truth and had waited and waited and was earthbound until the truth could be told, and was so grateful to me that I could be a channel for the communication to come forward. And the lady wept and wept and thanked me for the resolution of what had happened. And the animal was able, and I helped the animal to transition to the light and left the earth plane. This was 20 years ago that this animal had been earthbound. So what a tremendous thing. I've had animals such as, oftentimes people with cats have issues around the litter box. That's very common. And a lot of times it can simply be the litter itself that is troublesome to the animal, or sometimes they can be disturbed emotionally from the relationships of the humans who are fighting in the house. It can be many things, but generally, oftentimes it is the litter itself. I've helped a horse who was showing signs of lameness and had, I'm not sure of the technical term, but an inflammation of their hoof. This can be very serious. So after many trips to the vet, it seemed okay, but the lady didn't know. So she wanted the animal, the horse, to be able to find a way to communicate to her, since she wasn't an animal communicator, how she could know that there was trouble in the foot, and she wanted to be able to take the animal right away to the veterinarian. So I communicated with the horse and said, look, let's come up with some kind of a signal you can give your horse parent and let her know that there's trouble, that you're in pain, so that she can take you and get help. So the horse said, let's, I said, how about if you just lift your lift your hoof and position it, as an offering to your pet, your animal parent. And this is what she did. And I was given feedback later on by the lady, and she said, I can't believe this. She said, my horse came to me later on and did the same thing, had never done this before, did this signal, and sure enough, the animal did indeed have signs of this infection returning. So she was blown away that you actually can communicate with animals. It's absolutely mind-blowing when you begin to communicate or you receive help with an animal communicator, just what's possible. Okay? Let's see, I often work with dogs because that's kind of my specialty. I've done a lot with behavior modification, because I find a lot of the times that people are humanizing their animals. And with dogs, if it's behavioral and it's due to humanizing, it's not a discussion. It's just they don't really understand what's happening to them because they're reacting to their instinct, to their programming, their internal drives and instincts. They're just simply operating from what's already put within them. And the human is not understanding that. So that's what I can help from that level, from experience. That is not a telepathic issue. But I always do check in telepathically with animals. I worked with an African gray parrot who was plucking its feathers out. Turns out that this parrot had itchy skin and needed to receive more healthy nutrients, wasn't receiving the proper diet. So although I'm not a veterinarian, I will I do my best to let you know that you do need to go to a veterinarian, that simply communicating with me will not solve all your problems. And I can't guarantee that your animal will stop bad behaviors, but I can give you their side of the story, their perspective, and then it's up to you to follow through. I will make suggestions for tools and resources that will assist you in getting the help that you need beyond what I know and what I can do legally for you. So I hope this helped. If you like to, you can go to my website, susanhill.us, to find out more. I'd love to give you a session. I want you to know that animal communication is real, and it's funny how we're all programmed to think that it's not. It took me a very long time. In fact, I still question whether I'm doing it or not. And it's simply because we're living in an environment that poo-poos this sort of thing. I love that word, poo-poo. But it disinvalidates our expressions as those who can see the invisible and hear the inaudible. Those of us that work in the spirit realm. Those of us who are shamans and seers and beings of radiant light who help others through the darkness to find truth and realization that life is meant for us to be happy and abundant and joyful. So when I do a session, I'm bringing forth the best for you. I'm inspiring you and I'm encouraging you to be more and never less than your true self. Thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to giving you a session soon. Peace and riches blessings.